Space itself is occupied by a cooperating lattice of subatomic particles. And I talk about this in this Canopy book that we will be releasing shortly. This lattice provides orientation for the physical components of the universe. For the planets to maintain their position, there has to be a matrix of subatomic particles. For the galaxies to maintain their position, there has to be a matrix of subatomic particles pervading all of this. This could not be the result of a bang, large or small. It is the result of an original, perfectly divinely orchestrated universe. All of the masses, and I'm quoting published scientific journals for these statements, all of the masses, charges, and other properties of subatomic particles arise from a universal chorus of violins playing a symphony of different notes, and that's from the technical literature. All of this is orchestrated symphonically, but it's running down. If it is running down, class, let's run it backward. If you run it backward, yesterday it was more orchestrated than it is today. Last week it was more orchestrated than it was yesterday. And there is a limit. It was Dr. David Otway Ray, who is one of the primary authors of this book, The Crystalline Canopy, who's David Bassett. If you think it's hard to write a glossary of his work, and it was correct, you should try to do what David Lyons behind that curtain did. He and his wife took David's handwritten notes that are in the archives of the Creation Evidence Museum, committed to its director and the museum. They were able to take David's handwritten notes. David Otway Ray was the first man in history to be able to put numbers to the fact, and he started as an atheist. But with quantum algebra, he was able to show with the Einstein equation that involves the expansion of space fabric, and other scholars had not thought to use the expansion of space fabric in their calculations. The formula that he wrote took 8 pages to write out. 8 pages. Wow, that's a pretty complex formula. In that, he demonstrated mathematically and with the ultimate of physics that the farther back in time you go, because of the Einstein equations of the expansion of space fabric, the farther back in time you go, the more refined the universe became. I'll never forget returning a call to David Otway Ray. And David Ray said on the other end, I have, and I've run past my colleagues, he was at that time with the Academy of Science, USSR, and a member of 5 other academies of science simultaneously. He said, I've now been able to demonstrate, and my colleagues could not in any way argue with the results, even though they didn't like them. They could not disprove the results. I've been able to demonstrate that there was a point at which the universe was perfectly orchestrated. And I said, Dr. Ray, how long ago, according to these calculations, was the entire universe perfectly orchestrated? He paused and he said, the closest parameter I could get was 6,000 years. The most distant parameter I could get was 10,000 years ago. I could live with both of those, but I like 6,000 even better. That's a tight, close chronology that David Bassett back there is able to demonstrate from the biblical record. Right, David? The tight chronology reads 6,000 years ago. Wow. And that devastates evolutionary theory. So I've got to finish the story, I guess, on this. So I said, Dr. Ray, when you found that the universe was young, what did you do? He said, I realized that if the universe was perfectly orchestrated just a few thousand years ago, there had to be an orchestrator. Now the hair was already standing on the back of my neck. And I said, Dr. Ray, what did you do then? He said, well, you know, my second doctorate is in ancient languages. And he said, as an atheist, this matter of a creator has bothered me all my life. Good for the creator bothering him. And he said, this has bothered me all my life. And he said, I had to find out. So he said, I took a second doctorate and I can read all of the primary ancient languages. And he could. I mean, he's the most brilliant man I ever met. And so I said, what did you do then? He said, I took all of the original documents purporting to speak for a creator, and I read them. I said, what did you find? He said, I found, with my background in science, that every last one of them was scientifically untenable except one. I said, you mean you read all of the primary ancient documents purporting to speak for a creator and you found them scientifically untenable except one? He said, that's right. But you did find one. He said, correct. I said, what was it? He said, the Holy Bible. I said, well, Dr. Ray, what did you do then? He said, I read it. Well, that's a perfect answer. He said, I read all of it. I said, what did you find? He said, I found that I could know the Creator. I said, how's that? He said, through His Son, Jesus Christ. He said, sir, I have received Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. Amen. And I said, welcome home, Brother Dave, welcome home. That was one of the most awesome experiences of a lifetime for me. Later, he became a very close friend, and he called at least a couple of times each week. Couldn't normally find me, and then he and David became very close friends.